Jacko sponsors the Vanarama National League on BT Sport.
Hello everybody, welcome along to our latest highlights programme from English football's fifth tier, the Vanarama National League. This weekend's fixtures kicked off with a huge game here at the New Lawn as title contenders Forest Green Rovers took on promotion rivals Grimsby Town. Before we bring you the best of the action from that one, here's a little flavour of what else is coming up.
League leaders Cheltenham leave it late at Parkview Road. The Great Escape is on as Torquay win their fourth in a row. And Tranmere tighten their grip on the playoffs.
So, plenty to look forward to, but let's get on with the main event. Forest Green Rovers against Grimsby Town, your commentary team, Adam Virgo and Steve Bauer.
Straight to Arnold. Jennings committed, didn't get there. Now he's got to get back. What a decent try from Hoban on his debut. And the first real save of the game made by Steve Arnold, the Forest Green goalkeeper.
It all started from the port, diagonal from Racine. He strikes it brilliantly, bends left and right.
Tate's cross for Grimsby. Bennett didn't make it. And in behind him came Monkhouse, and he knows that was a chance for Grimsby.
He does this brilliantly, Monkhouse. You just see him at the top of your screen. It's a wonderful ball in from Tate, and it just gets caught underneath it.
Nice bit of skill from Sinclair. Really good run. It's come now to Carter. McEwen, you felt always had that covered.
Yeah, he was certainly comfortable there, James McEwen.
Quite sure how much of the game he's seeing. Sinclair, nice layoff from Parkin. Freer, over Clough. Marsh Brown, deflected off Horwood, another Forest Green corner.
I thought Freer may have hit that in first time, decided to take a touch.
Marsh Brown taking the free kick, what a delivery. Clough got his head to it, didn't get the final touch. Forest Green corner.
If he gets a pat on the back from his goalkeeper, Gowlin.
Monkhouse. Patient from Grimsby. Monkhouse with the cross. And then Hoban on the turn. Arnold had to make sure. Nice link up. Lifted in by Monkhouse. Clough didn't get there, but Craig Disley did. And the deadlock is broken. And it's the Grimsby skipper who steps up to the plate with his third goal of the season. And the visitors are in front.
Monkhouse hangs it up. Just says to somebody, go and attack it.
Here's Arnold. Oh, Clough didn't get there again. It's Hoban. They've got players steaming in here, including Nolan. Then it's come to Monkhouse. Terrific save. And Forest Green survive.
It's a great save from the keeper, Arnold.
Here's Monkhouse. Grimsby looking the stronger team at the moment. Nolan, can he get this back across? Came off Arnold. Armand, Monkhouse. Nolan. Time for Horwood to set himself. Armand! Well, for the division's top scorer, he will be bitterly disappointed he hasn't found the target there.
Unfortunately for Armand tonight, that's really summed up his evening's football. It's not quite been on his A game.
To be fair, it was a pretty scrappy game. I think not a lot in it. Always going to be tight margins and a one goal, in our favour. So delighted to get the winner, and I've not scored many this year, so it's a timely one as well. Just said, I think we still feel that there's more to come. But I think there is part of it with pitches getting heavier and things like that. We're not playing as free-flowing as we would like, but we've shown the resilience, and I think that's 6 clean sheets out of the last 11, I think, in the league. So that's a good record and bodes well for us.
All credit to Grimsby. They've come in, done a good job on us, and obviously disappointed with the goal that we conceded. But like I said, there's twists and turns. There's plenty more ups and downs before the end of the season.
With Forest Green faltering on Friday, would Saturday see Cheltenham strengthen their lead at the top of the table? Gary Johnson's men travelled to take on a Welling side second bottom of the National League, but the league leaders had suffered their first defeat in 22 games at Eastleigh in midweek. In a cagey first half, the closest either side came to breaking the deadlock was when Cheltenham's top scorer Danny Wright was denied. Keeper Marek Rodak with a point-blank save. Conditions worsened after the interval, but Welling grew into the game. A golden chance for Michael Bakari, who shanked horribly wide. Dean Frost's team had lost their previous 5 without scoring a goal, but this was a different Welling altogether. Luke Winardio inches away from the opener as he struck the woodwork. The clock ticked past 90 minutes and into sensational stoppage time. Winardio thought he'd scored a Welling winner after clinical control and a fine finish. Pandemonium at Parkview Road. A first Welling goal for Winardio on 91 minutes. But champions find a way to bounce back, and the visitors salvaged a point in the 95th minute. Dan Holman firing in his 20th of the season with the last kick of the game. Cheltenham now 2 points clear at the top of the table.
The overriding emotion is one of disappointment, because when your team doesn't play like you know it can, then and you don't win the game, then obviously it's disappointment. But at the same time, you have to say that Welling put in a really good performance there as far as their energy, their passion. They look like a team that's fighting and trying to get out of the trouble that they're in. And if they play like that, they will. There's going to be twos and throws and ups and downs, and that's what happens. But the games are being ticked off, and we've still got our noses in front.
2 of the bottom 3 clubs in the National League met by the seaside, aiming to breathe new life into their race against relegation. Torquay are the form team in the fight to stay up, having won their last 3, and they enjoyed the perfect start at Plainmoor. Nathan Smith's overhead kick hit the bar, then Dean Schnedker for an own goal by the Kidderminster keeper. Just what you need when you're bottom of the table. The home side's fortunes have turned around of late, and the lead was almost doubled. Sean Harrod saw the ball dropping over his shoulder, but couldn't strike on target. But a fine first-half display was rewarded with a second goal shortly before the interval. Josh Rees with a cross, Nathan Blissett showing real desire to get on the end of it and register his 4th goal in 6 games for the club since signing in January. 2-0 Torquay at half-time. This was a game bottom club Kidderminster couldn't afford to lose, and they were back in it 7 minutes after the break. Kelvin Langmead's looping header deceiving Dan Leverkusen in the Torquay goal. In contrast to the hosts, the visitors had lost their last 3, but the Kidderminster comeback was completed shortly after the hour. Arthur Ganur grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck and whipping in a beauty, his 4th in his last 8 games. And Kidderminster so nearly made it 3-2, Luke Maxwell forcing Leverkusen into action. But a massive moment in both clubs' seasons came with 8 minutes to play. An almighty scramble, and this time Smith was credited with the goal. Kidderminster felt he'd used his hand. Manager Colin Gordon refused to discuss the incident after the game. A hammer blow for Harriers, who are now 11 points from safety, while Torquay are just a win away with games in hand.
Credit to my lads for having the stones to stand up to it and then go back the other end and nick a winner, and that's the difference. If you can come back when things have gone against you like that, then you put yourself in a good spot.
Kidderminster seemed to be complaining about the winning goal. What did you see it as?
I didn't see much of it, but by all accounts it was possibly a handball.
7 wins in the last 10 had lifted Tranmere into the playoff places. Gary Brabin's boys took on a Gateshead side who had suffered just 1 defeat in their previous 9 and was still in the hunt for a top 5 finish. But Lady Luck wasn't on the side of the visitors. First striker John Shaw was adjudged to have handled Adam Meckie's cross, penalty given. James Norwood not taking any prisoners from the spot, drilling past Gateshead's Sam Russell. Then referee Richard Wigglesworth awarded the hosts a second spot kick right on half-time. Meckie again the danger man, claiming contact from James Curtis. Norwood stepping up again, and an even more emphatic result. 14 this season for the former Forest Green frontman. Any hopes Neil Aspin had for a Gateshead fight back were dead in the water 8 minutes after the break. Michael Higdon heading home his first Tranmere goal since signing from Sheffield United. Gateshead did grab a consolation. Tranmere keeper Scott Davis with 2 saves before Danny Johnson gave the travelling fans something to cheer about. Norwood was chasing the match ball and he almost completed his hat-trick in spectacular style, but just ran out of steam. Not so for Tranmere, who stay in the top 5.
Lincoln City had the chance to go within 5 points of the playoff places against an impressive Aldershot side who'd only lost 1 of their last 6 games. Chris Moyses described the home side's first half work rate as at 55%, but it only took them 8 minutes to break the deadlock. Terry Hortridge's cross and Jamie McComb nodding in his first goal of the season. I think it's fair to say the Sincilbank faithful were quite pleased with that. On the stroke of half-time, a chance for the hosts to double their lead. Referee Joe Johnson and Judge Jim Stevenson had brought down Alan Power inside the box. Powerhouse Matt Reid it was to take the spot kick. He'd scored a league-high 5 penalties this season before that one, but unable to raise his tally to 6. Phil Smith tipping round the post. The hosts looked dangerous in the second half, but while Reid may be Lincoln's top scorer, this clearly wasn't his day. Aldershot struggled to deal with Lincoln balls into the box throughout, and it would prove costly just after the hour mark. Goalkeeper and defender not on the same page. Joe Ostler guiding the ball into his own net. The best the visitors could muster came through winger Rhys Brown, his effort beating Paul Farman, but not the frame of the goal. A great result for Chris Moyses' Lincoln, who are now unbeaten in 5.
Not doing a lot different to what we were before, you know, we're just getting a little bit more luck and rub the greens come with us a bit. I thought it was a very good solid performance there against a decent side that have been on a good run. I'm delighted.
Part-time Braintree are competing with the big boys in the battle for a playoff place. They hosted an Eastleigh side that hammered them 5-1 in the reverse fixture in October, but it was first blood Braintree at Cressing Road. Simeon Akinola wriggling through and scoring his first goal since early December. Only Cheltenham have conceded fewer home goals than Braintree, so Eastleigh's task was made all the tougher when they reduced to 10 men. Jamie Turley scything down Akinola, a second yellow card for Turley, his 6th red in his National League career. Eastleigh had lost their previous 4 away games, but it was 10-aside with 10 minutes to go. Matt Fry with the challenge. Referee Nigel Lugg took his time and eventually issued a second yellow for Fry, giving Chris Todd's team hope of a way back into the game. But that hope turned to despair just 5 minutes later. A scrappy build-up before the ball eventually fell to Akinola. His second, a 6th win in 7 home matches for Danny Cowley's men. Braintree stay 4th with games in hand on their rivals.
Travellers Dover were hoping to banish the memory of a 6-0 thrashing they encountered in this fixture last season, but with Woking winless in 6, you'd imagine Chris Kinnear would be more confident going into this one. Dover dominated in the first 45 minutes. Woking struggled to deal with their advances. It was keeper Jake Cole who would keep the visitors at bay after that shot from Stephen Payne. When Woking did attack, they weren't able to be clinical enough to capitalise. Keeper Mitch Walker making light work of this John Goddard chance. Dover's attacking threat finally paid off after this free kick was lofted into the box by Ricky Modeste, which in turn found Jack Parkinson, who opened the scoring against his former club. Towards half-time, Nicky Devedix challenged keeper Cole with this effort, but Cole did well to keep it out. In the second half, Woking changed from a 4-3-3 to a 5-4-1, and it provided more chances for the home side. However, they were unable to follow through as Kieran Murtagh wasted this great opportunity. Woking again challenged as Joey Jones headed towards goal, but Tyrone Sterling was there to cancel out the danger. A brilliant result for Chris Kinnear's Dover, who now move up to 7th, 5 points off the playoffs.
I thought we were absolutely outstanding the first half. We could have been well away against, a decent side, aren't they? And obviously, when we came out second half, I thought we started well. But when you're 1-0 down, the other side can throw caution to the wind. But it's nice we don't keep many clean sheets, and the lads stood fast. So clean sheet. And making loads of opportunities, we've got to be pleased with that.
Halifax travelled to Southport without manager Jim Harvey following a stadium ban he received against his former club Forest Green Rovers. Assistant manager Tommy Miller took charge of the team as they aimed to climb out of the bottom 4. In a first half which Southport dominated, they were unable to capitalise on their superior possession. Stephen Hewitt with that chance. Goalkeeper Max Crocombe almost provided the visitors with the lead before half-time. Hamza Ben Sharif with the opportunity, but the only thing he hit was thin air. In the second half, both teams struggled to make clear-cut chances. Halifax's Nicky Rowe with this wasteful shot. However, 1 minute into injury time, the visitors found an opening. Substitute Shaquille MacDonald on loan from Derby County, firing the ball into the back of the net, 3 days after scoring in their penalty shootout win against Gateshead in the FA Trophy. His first in the league sees Halifax climb out of the bottom 4, having lost just 2 of their last 14 games.
Steve Burr's men have only managed 1 win at home since November and were playing host to a Bromley side who arrived off the back of 3 straight wins. It was Chester who would take control in the first half, but a lot of their efforts would prove wasteful, like this one from James Alabai. Chester's attacking play would prove crucial in the 16th minute though, as a ball from Danny O'Brien would see in-form Ross Hannah give his team the advantage. That was his 16th goal of the season and his 3rd in 4 matches. Chester then saw Hannah go wide in a first half that left the door open for a Bromley comeback. And in the 54th minute, Chester's fears were realised. Ex-Morecambe keeper Tony Thompson having an absolute mare trying to keep out this tame effort from Moses Emmanuel. That was Emmanuel's 3rd goal in 4 games, a welcome return to form for Bromley's top scorer. Towards the end of the game, Chester's Johnny Hunt had a great chance to steal the 3 points, but defender Rob Swain was there to spare their blushes. So a game dominated by Chester saw Bromley snatch a draw, proving costly for the home side who dropped down to 17th.
Having never met in any competition due to 3 previous match postponements this season, Barrow travelled to Meadow Park in search of their first win in 5. Boreham Wood were looking to distance themselves from the drop zone they've been flirting with all season. But it only took Barrow 13 minutes to open the scoring. Some poor defending from David Stevens saw Ben Tomlinson nut the ball into the back of the net. Boreham Wood had 11 shots off target during this game, over double that of Barrow. This effort from Clovis Camjo was a shining example of that. Then a mistake that nearly gifted Barrow a second. This back pass, which caught Scott Doe off guard, resulted in Andy Cook rounding the keeper James Russell before his effort was cleared off the line by Stevens. A close shave. But on the stroke of half-time, Boreham Wood were unable to defend this set piece, which saw Cook give the 116 travelling fans something to cheer about. In the second half, Boreham Wood came close to a consolation. However, Simon Grand was on hand to ensure Barrow kept their first clean sheet since October. Boreham Wood dropped down to 20th out of the bottom 4, only on goal difference.
Last but not least, El Mosico. Just 15 miles separate Moss Lane from Moss Rose in a fixture that sees strugglers Altrincham attempt to stay out of the bottom 4 against mid-table Macclesfield. Unfortunately, this derby wasn't one to remember. Altringham's best chance came in the first half when James Lorry fired on goal, but keeper Shwan Jalal's lightning-quick reactions kept the home side at bay. One of Macclesfield's 2 shots on target came in the first half as Paul Turnbull was denied by the crossbar. Turnbull's long ball from the halfway line then saw Christian Dennis challenge keeper Tim Deasy, who did very well to keep the sides level. And to add insult to injury, this lofted through ball from Jake Malt was onside, but Damien Reeves was unable to convert to give the home side the 3 points they desperately needed.
So, at the bottom of the table, Altrincham once more drop into the relegation places on goal difference after Halifax leapfrogged them with their 1-0 victory at Southport. Keep an eye on Torquay as they creep ever nearer to safety, recording their 4th win in a row at the expense of rock-bottom Kidderminster. Dean Frost, on the other hand, bitterly disappointed as his Welling side failed to secure a precious 3 points at home to leaders Cheltenham. Up at the other end of the table, that draw with Welling means Gary Johnson's side extend their lead at the top to 2 points after Grimsby claimed a huge win over Forest Green, and they have 3 games in hand on the top 2. Tranmere, like Cheltenham, aiming to return to the Football League for the first time of asking, consolidate their position in the playoffs, but they know they have a tough month ahead with games against Dover, Forest Green and Lincoln City. And you can see that game against Lincoln in the first of 3 live National League games on offer over the Easter weekend, starting on Good Friday. Then the following day, we're in Halifax to see if Jim Harvey can continue his side's survival trail. They take on fellow relegation battlers Altrincham. And we end our trio with a battle of the Garys as Wrexham's Mills welcomes Cheltenham's Johnson to the racecourse ground on Easter Monday.
That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Jacko sponsors the Vanarama National League on BT Sport.